Hello. In this video I will show you how to create and edit test cases. This will allow you to quickly create sample messages for testing purposes. Here I have the OIS IIS HL7 Tester. It has been installed and running under Tomcat on my local machine and has been connected to the OIS Data Quality Assurance Engine for testing purposes. I'm going to go ahead and log into the application with the username and password that I created previously. And today I'm going to be covering the edit test case functionality, which is this one here in the middle. Edit test case functionality allows you to automatically create an HL7 message. In this case, if we scroll to the bottom of the edit test case screen, you'll notice that down here there is a list of text including an HL7 message. Simply by clicking on the edit test case page, it automatically creates a test message. If I click on the word send test message, you'll see this message in this box here below. In this case, I've got Ionic Eldrick, a completely made-up patient, and a completely made-up immunization history. That came all just from clicking the Edit Test Case button. From Edit Test Case, you can do some pretty neat things. The first thing is that anything inside the message can be changed. So we'll show that very quickly here under the Custom Transformations box down here. In this Custom Transformations box, you can add in simple little scripts to change how the message looks. For instance, I can type in PID-5.2 equals, I'll say Sam, since that's my favorite name today. And if I go down and scroll down and say update, and then click on send message, you will notice that again the name has changed again because I regenerated the message, and the first name is now set to Sam. I can even remove the first name by saying PID-5.2 equals nothing. And if we update it here, you'll see, and again, it says nothing there. We could also put whatever we like to in here. We could put a bad value. That's not a good name value. And if we look at the message, it now says bad value in there. And as you see, every time we generate this message, we get a new name in it. The reason why we have a new name is because the entire message was reconstructed. And this allows you to create a great deal of test messages that aren't the same. In many IIS that you test, using test messages with the same name over and over again will result in records being merged together, and it makes testing difficult. So this testing system will do that. Now the way it works is very simply, starting from the top here, is that the testing system starts with a start message, which is defined up here. The start message could be a complete and full HL7 message, but in this case it just starts off with a skeleton, MSH, PID, NK1. This is not a valid HL7 message, it's just a skeleton of what could be there. The transformations, we have some quick transformations over here on the left that you can specify. For instance, I can say, well, I'd like this to always to be a girl. So I'll uncheck boy and I'll check girl. And I'm going to take this PID-5.2 by bad value away, and I'm going to update it. And if we look at the message, now it says Linda Lind. It picks a name that's a typical girl's name. We've got a list of girls' names and boys' names, and it sets the gender to female. So we automatically have a girl. Go back to edit test case. Let's switch it back to a boy. And let's say we want the ethnicity filled out as well. Update it. Send message, and we should have, this person's black and ethnicity is not Hispanic or Latino. That's been filled in from the list. Again, you see there's an address in this message that was automatically filled in. This is not a real address. But this part is a real zip code that goes with a real city. This address is entirely made up, but this is not. The phone number is made up. I think the area code is correct, but this is entirely just jumbled letters. And again, there's a mother's information is put in here. Sometimes the mother's information will match. For instance, this one here says that the first name is the same, so that matches. Sometimes the mother is listed with the same last name. So there's quite a few attributes. If you actually look at these messages that are generated, while they are randomly generated, they will look like real data. Back to edit test case message. So you can automatically select these options. If you look over here on the quick transformations applied, this gives you an idea of the kinds of custom transformations you could make. And essentially, when you check these boxes, it does the following things. For example, saying as a 2.51 message sets these values up here. It sets the MSH12 to 2.51. It sets it to P in MSH.11. And you can override these by simply doing the same thing over here. So if I want to make this a testing message, I would say the MSH-11 equals T. But if you notice up here, there's a command to make it to P. And what will happen is this command will be applied, and then they'll apply your commands, and the ending result will be what you want. So if you go to the message, now you see it says T. You'll also notice that some of the custom transformations, that there are nice little brackets around them. And what these are doing is that when it encounters these, it takes the word now and changes it to the predefined value for now. And now is essentially the system date time. So if we look at the system date time, this one has been changed right here to 2014, 5th month, 30th day, 11/20/27, and it's in Mountain Daylight Time. So it's all right there. Actually, don't know if that's Mountain Daylight Time. I think that's Eastern Daylight Time. That's Mountain Daylight Time. So these are custom transformations that you can look at to give you an idea of what you could do to solve these, to do these transformations. Some of them get quite complex. If you notice right down here, if we want to set the value in the second RXA, we do something like this. RXA number 2-1. So that would be the second RXA that appears in the message and the first field. If it can't find the RXA, it just ignores your command. So let's go ahead and set that to be hello. So the second RXA in the first position should now say hello. And if we look at this, there's the first RXA and there's the second RXA. Now you notice that in our HL7 standard, hello is not a valid value for RXA1. The tester does not cause an exception. It doesn't know what the rules are. So you are free to change the message however you like and break the rules. And this is important because, for instance, we might want to see what does our system do when there is no first name. So I would construct a test case like this. I'd say PIV9 equals nothing. Wonder what that will do. I will update it. I'll click on send message, and then I'll hit submit. Oh, before I hit submit, I need to actually select my application I want to test. So let's do DQA test. I'm going to switch to that one. Now click on send message, and it's going to send a DQA test, and I'm going to submit it. And let's do a DQA test. DQA test is not very happy with this message. It says required field missing. Patient name last is missing. For my test, I consider this a success. The DQA is acting as it's supposed to. If I go back to the edit test case, and I say PID 5.1 equals this, that's a successful test. So I might say this is test number 1, and I'll say test to see if patient first name is properly required. Message should be rejected. And I can update that. And now when I go back to manage test cases, you'll actually see that this test case shows up here. Because I gave it a number and a name, it now shows up here, and I can use this in the future. Later when I log in, it's actually stored, the test case is actually stored under here, under test cases. And here it is, test case number 1 HTML, test case 1.txt. I can actually open this up. And this is the actual test case as it's stored in their system. It's got a test case number 1, test case to see if patient name is properly required. Here's the original message, that's just the piece of it. And then the quick transformation is 2.51, boy, that's all the stuff you're supposed to do to the message. And set PID 5.1 to 0, and that test is done. What this means is that if you look at this, when I clicked on send message last time, I don't remember what I said last time, but now it's got Dunbar. Actually, it wasn't the first name, it was the last name I changed. So if we go back to edit test case, update, send message, now it's got a new name in there. So now I can run this test over and over again against the OIS, and every time I do it, I'm going to get a different message, but it's going to have the same qualities as the previous one. And so this edit test case can be either used to pull together test cases and to organize them, or it can be used just to do a one-off message. So don't be afraid to play around with this and see how it works. As you work with it more, you'll be able to understand more how the pieces work in it. And this should help you with your testing.